Start remembering it.
Lawmakers on Utah's Capitol Hill say yes to new restrictions for app stores when it comes to children.
It's been 3 defendants' assets.
Children and smartphones taking center stage here at the Utah Capitol. This afternoon, a Senate committee voted unanimously to require app stores to verify the ages of its users.
News specialist Daniel Woodruff joining us live now with the latest. Daniel?
Well, the bill sponsor in this case says that when children download apps on their phones, they're entering into contracts with those companies that are legal and binding.
Those terms and conditions can give that company access to their camera, to their microphone. They can be consenting that their data can be collected and shared.
Senator Todd Weiler's Senate Bill 142 would require app store providers to verify users' ages, obtain parent consent for children's accounts, and let parents know of any significant changes. Many people spoke today for and against the bill, but in the end, a Senate committee voted to approve it unanimously, advancing it now to the full Senate for a vote. Now, this follows other laws that Utah has recently passed over the last few years dealing with children and social media. Of course, those laws ending up in the courts with lawsuits. An online child safety expert today testified here on Capitol Hill saying that other bills similar to the one that was voted on today are being introduced in other states besides Utah. At the Capitol, Daniel Woodruff, live at 5.
Daniel, thank you. A bill that would had to block grants.
A good portion of Utah's budget is made up of federal funding. Utah's Senate president reacted to the news of the freeze today before the judge put it on hold.
I think it's a shock, but I don't know it's a bad process. I mean, we do this in our companies. We do this in anybody who's in business tries to say what's important. Is our money being spent the best it can be? And, I don't know what the outcomes will be. We'll evaluate it and say whether it's good or not after we figure out, what it does.
Now, the Senate Minority Leader also responded, saying she was worried about funding for Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program.
Today, White House Deputy Chief of Staff's construction building caught fire, and legislators continue to pass bills impacting Utahns. The latest movements in one that would restrict transgender access to student housing.
This is
Sheriff, thank you.
An emotional debate on Capitol Hill today as the Utah House of Representatives passed a bill limiting transgender access to college dorms. News specialist Daniel Woodruff explains what the bill does and where it goes from here. Daniel?
This was a party line vote. 59 Republicans voting for the bill, 13 Democrats voting against it.
This legislation provides greater privacy for students living in on-campus housing.
Representative Stephanie Grisha sponsored House Bill 269, which she says creates 3 pathways for housing for college students in Utah.
Biological male, biological female, or a gender-neutral option that can be opted to by anyone.
Her bill requires that students at public universities live in rooms matching their sex at birth, even if they've already changed it on their birth certificate. This comes after the mother of a Utah State student complained that a transgender resident advisor was assigned to her daughter's all-girls dorm.
I'd suggest that we tread lightly.
Democrats pushed back, worrying this will tie the state up in lawsuits. Representative Sahara Hayes, an openly gay lawmaker, became emotional, recounting the multiple bills over the last few years targeting the trans population.
The LGBTQ community is so tired. We are so tired of being scared every year when this body meets because we don't know how we're going to be targeted.
But Republicans say the bill strikes a balance between privacy and respect for everyone.
This bill is not about discrimination. It's about clarity and drawing clear lines to protect our most vulnerable.
With the bill passing the House, it now moves to the Senate. Leaders there say they'll take a look at it. Daniel Woodruff, KSL 5 News.
Daniel, thank you, and stay with us as we leaves Brazil.
A bill aimed at keeping kids safe while using their smartphone is advancing through the Utah legislature. A Senate committee voted in favor of the measure that would require app stores to verify the ages of its users. The bill sponsor says when children download apps, they're entering into contracts with those companies, which are legal and binding. This measure would require app store providers to verify user ages and obtain parent consent for children's accounts. This bill now moves to the Senate. A controversial debate on Capitol Hill today as the Utah House of Representatives passed a bill limiting transgender access to college dorms. The bill requires students at public universities in Utah to live in rooms matching their biological sex at birth. The legislation follows a complaint from a Utah State student's mother about a transgender resident advisor in an all-girls dorm. This bill now heads to the Senate for consideration.
It has been 3 years